Hi everyone. My name is Melvin, and today we'll be going through the top 10 opportunities in homes and buildings, practical pathways to climate smart buildings. I'll be moderating today's session, so let's go to the next slide. Yes, as I've said, we'll be looking at the transformational growth journey shaping the homes and buildings industry. And as you will see from the presentation soon, you will capture all these growth opportunities that go beyond technology and products. And it requires ecosystem alignment across building owners, solution providers, system service partners, and decision makers working toward shared outcomes. So with me today is Anirudh Bhaskaran, Associate Director in Frost Sullivan. And he has numerous years of experience in tracking the homes and buildings industry. And I'm happy to be hosting this together with him today. All right. So before I hand over to Anirudh Bhaskaran, who will take us through the growth matrix, the top 10 predictions and opportunities matrix. So please bear with us as he will go through we will run through the slides as a briefing to you to set the context before the discussion starts. And at any point of time, you can also, send us your questions via the Q&A button as explained by Hannah just now. All right, so over to you, Anirudh.
Great. Thanks, Melvin, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, and very warm welcome to today's webinar. Next slides, please, Anna. Yeah. So today we are diving into one of the most exciting and urgent transformations happening right now. So how homes and buildings industry worldwide are evolving into a climate smart environments that not only reduce carbon emissions but actively support occupants' health, energy efficiency, and long-term resilience in the face of climate change. So when we talk about climate smart buildings, so what do you mean by climate smart buildings? So we have coined this word for quite some time, and we've been using this in some of the reports. So just to set the context here, so we call these are just structures designed and operated with integrated technologies like the IoT sensors, AI-based analytics, and smart HVAC and lighting systems, and low carbon materials, that optimize energy use, reduce emissions, increase energy efficiency, minimize waste, and so on. So they are built. We see the climate smart buildings as the built environment's response to the dual challenges of the climate mitigation and climate adaptation. So which actually turns buildings into energy consumers. From energy consumers into cognitive and regenerative assets. So that's what we term the climate smart buildings here. So for the next probably 30 to 40 minutes, we'll explore the practical pathways forward, including the real world barriers, how the stakeholders are actually addressing them, growth metrics, top 10 predictions for 2026, and also the growth opportunities matrix, for stakeholders to take actionable steps to accelerate progress here. And before I delve into the growth metrics, I'll quickly list the industry challenges that are prevailing in the industry, in the homes and buildings industry. So first, we are also seeing this skilled labor shortages and aging workforce, which is still the biggest long-term barrier in construction. And then we have this AI integration and data management issues. All these technologies are promising, gains, revenue gains and other gains as well. But it involves high costs, integration complexity, data silos, and poor quality of data, poor connectivity, which actually slows the rollout of this integration. And third, we have this cost escalation and readiness for tech adoption. So that is another barrier here, because of the rising wages and the safety demands are pushing some of the technologies like AI, robotics forward, yet high implementation costs and usability, that actually hinders the adoption. Fourth one is the regulatory compliance and sustainability reporting pressures. We are seeing this as a barrier which are ramping up fast now in terms of other standards, ISO standards, common data environment, sustainability mandates, which are actually coming up, which are being made mandatory in some of the regions like Europe, Asia, and APAC as well. And supply chain volatility, which is again supply chain volatility and geopolitical instability, we are witnessing them in different parts of the regions, which are also affecting the material price swings, import delays, and global tensions, which are disrupting the projects. Right. So these are the five major industry challenges that we are witnessing in the industry, and again, these aren't just separate issues. They actually amplify each other, and they also act as a catalyst for collaboration, investment, innovation, and so on. All right, so coming into the growth metrics, so shifting gears to this exciting slide, growth metrics in the homes and buildings industry. So this slide shows why the climate smart transformation is a massive economic opportunity. So if you look at the numbers here, starting with the big picture, the global revenue for homes and buildings we have estimated around close to 1.95 trillion for 2025, and the conservative estimate that we are having is for 2026 is close to 2 trillion. So it's the first time in the industry is going to touch $2 trillion in revenue for about estimating, growing at a growth rate of 4%. That's a conservative estimate. And if things go really well, the aspirational scenario, we are pushing it towards 2.1 trillion. We are closer to 8% growth. So this reflects an accelerating momentum from electrification, smart technology adoption, other climate technologies adoption as well. All right. So now breaking it down by segments in 2025. So facility management, which now dominates around 54% of the pie. That is like close to 1 trillion in terms of revenue. And then we have this critical building equipment at 26%, followed by smart homes at 13%, and so on. And if you look at the growth rate, we have also estimated the conservative and the aspirational estimate of the growth rates by segments. Starting with lighting. Lighting is definitely struggling to grow in terms of revenues. And then we have the higher growth rates. We are actually estimating for smart building management, smart homes, and construction management. We have given a range just because the lower range, you can see it as a conservative estimate. The higher range is the aspirational estimate. And likewise, we also have the estimate by split by regions. Asia Pacific leads with close to 35% share, driven by rapid urbanization and smart city builds, and followed by North America and Europe. And as usual, you can see we are estimating Asia Pacific to grow between close to 6 to 10%, if I'm not wrong, and then followed by Europe and North America, and then rest of the world. So now let's zoom in on the 2026 growth outlook by region. So this table breaks it down by segment with clear color coding to show momentum at a glance. So you can see the red as the slower or modest growth. We are giving a range between -5% to 2%, and the amber for moderate growth, 2 to 6%, light green for the strong performance, 6 to 12, and beyond that, dark green for 12 to 30%. So we can see starting across the top, the Asia Pacific stands out with the most green, strong to very strong. You can see, except lighting, which is a moderate growth segment. Other segments are growing, easily for about 6% and reaching up to 30%. If you look at the smart building management, we have given the dark color, color coding, green coding to estimate that it could go beyond 12% growth rate. And North America shows more mixed colors, red in terms of lighting, more modest. Again, we are seeing a modest growth for lighting, 1 to 3% range, and yellow in critical equipment. And the construction management, across the board, it is dark green because it's mostly the software tools like the BIM, digital twin, construction management software, and even construction robotics. So those things comes into the construction management. We are seeing across the board, we are seeing double-digit growth for construction management. And Europe mirrors a balanced picture. Again, red and lighting, but otherwise, except for smart building management and construction management, other things we have put in amber. So this is typically, I'll actually talk a bit about the EU mandates and the revised EPBD, how the regulations are actually will help the EU market to actually bring in some opportunities. There are some strict energy regulations and green building standards that are actually driving steady and policy-backed progress. Yeah. And rest of the world, we are actually keeping a close watch on the what is happening in the Middle East. We'll have to give it some time, but still we are being positive, optimistic on the rest of the world scenario, which trends green in most of the areas, particularly construction, smart building management, and critical equipment. So if you look at the overall picture, the key high growth segments overall would be construction management, smart building management, and smart homes. So the big message is growth isn't uniform, which is obvious. Asia Pacific is leading the charge, while mature markets like North America and Europe excel in high value digital and management layers. These patterns point to a smart investment priorities to double down on construction technology, building management systems, and which will have the biggest climate smart impact and returns. All right. Next slide, please. All right. So coming to the smart top 10 predictions. So this is I see it as a forward-looking part of the presentation. Our top 10 predictions for the global homes and buildings technologies industry in 2026. So these are actionable shifts, which are already gaining momentum, driven by AI convergence, regulatory pushes, energy pressures, and the urgent need for climate smart, resilient built environment. So I'll just quickly walk through this with briefly describing each one and what's happening in each of those predictions and why we put it in for 2026. So starting with agentic AI driven HVAC intelligence. So we are seeing the even the last year in our 2025. Actually, these predictions are actually taken from our on our upcoming global homes and buildings industry outlook, which will be published before the end of March. So last year we had the same similar prediction on agentic AI, how it is transforming the SaaS in the building operations and construction management. And if you've been closely tracking the AI industry, I think recently Sam Altman made a comment on how AI could be used as an infrastructure, just like how you use electricity. You use it as pay as you use it, right? So you can switch on when you need it, and you can switch it off when you don't need it, and pay for how much you're using it. And we exactly predicted that in our last year's 2025 industry outlook, like how AI could actually transform the business models which are currently being used in the smart building management or in the building especially related to the software side of the market. Because right now, if you look at the software side of the market, the non-consumption business model is quite prevalent, and it is also prevailing because mostly it is the fixed SaaS model with the fixed operating or fixed fee, monthly or annual recurring fee, or it could be performance-based model or a hybrid model. It is not at all in a consumption base, but AI is going to change the game now. So it could be provide the flexibility for the consumers to actually enable AI when they need it and just disable it when they don't need it. So they pay for when they use it. It could be based on the number of prompts they use or the time they spent on AI that could be tracked. And just like electricity, AI could be used as an infrastructure. So which we actually predicted in our last year's report. And this year again, agentic AI driven HVAC intelligence, we are seeing more deployments of agentic AI in driven HVAC intelligence, and majority of the OEMs are already are actually leading this, where they're which will unlock the premium AI as a service. Like I said, the consumption based model, redefining building operations for efficiency and resilience, right? Okay, so the next one is the AI driven HEMS. Again, another key prediction here. We are seeing the explosive growth of AI-based data centers, which is pushing residential electricity costs in some of the region, especially in the US. We are seeing reports where the consumers are actually getting higher energy bills, where the data centers are coming up just because or already being deployed. Because it's a monopoly model in the US. So if you look at the wholesale prices of the electricity in those areas, it has gone up to 267% since 2020. And if you look at the retail price, it has risen. It is rising like in double digits in areas like Northern Virginia, in Texas, parts of Oregon, and also the regions that are maintained by the PJM grid. So this volatility, this creates pain, and also for consumers, but a huge opportunity for prosumers with solar and EV adopters. Right, we are seeing some home energy management based innovations from the leading players for optimizing the energy use based on the demand response and the time of the scheduling and other things. And also we are seeing innovations like the virtual battery storage, where the extra solar savings could be stored without physical batteries in a way which they could actually use it on the go if they have an electric vehicle. So we are seeing that in parts of Europe, which are actually providing good savings without physical storage. So Frost and Sullivan actually foresee an accelerated adoption of HEMS and that integrates solar forecasting, EV scheduling, demand response, and virtual battery storage, transforming energy intensive pressures into recurring savings. So the third prediction is on cloud-based smart building management. So we have been seeing how the small and medium-sized buildings are are under-penetrated with respect to the smart building management. So this is when we talk about small and medium-sized buildings, it is the less than 100,000 square feet buildings, right? So more than that, we call it as large buildings. So this actually forms the bulk of the commercial stock, and they have been historically under-penetrated with respect to BEMS or the BMS systems, simply because of there are various reasons why they have been able to penetrate into that sector. But there is an opportunity starting with 2026. That's why we call it as a pivotal year in many aspects, with respect to regulatory deadlines, expiring incentives, especially in the US, where we are seeing the Section 179D tax reduction is actually getting closed. After there is a deadline for this year. So any project that is starting after June 30th of this year, it creates a final window for cost-effective retrofits, right? So that's why I'm calling it as a expiring incentives and market momentum that actually converge to make BEMS and cloud-based adoption imperative for SMB owners. And but we are also seeing this cloud-native platforms are closing the gap. The leading players like Siemens, ABB, Schneider, they're actually providing this. But why? Because the solutions have been there for a long time. But why 2026 is pivotal is because of the regulatory deadlines and the expiring incentives in some of the regions, which is actually providing some opportunity for the vendors to capitalize on this. All right. And the fourth one is the data centers continues to fuel growth. We have actually maintained the same prediction for last year as well, because we are seeing accelerated growth in this segment. And we are estimating the global data center infrastructure investment jumping from 500 billion to 597 billion this year, right? And this is not just investment. This translates into multiple opportunities, tangential to this segment. For example, if you look at the lighting segment, the BMS controls being installed, or the lighting installed, and then in terms of demand for high density cooling, air systems, integrated BMS, energy efficient controls. So these are all opportunities, and we are actually estimating the building technology revenue coming from the data center segment to be close to 35 billion for 2025, and growing at a rate of 10%, which will reach again close to some 38 billion. So the highest growth segment for us would be the smart building management, construction management, and and also the other ones, the facility management, which is all in double digits. Even the lighting, if you look at the global lighting, revenues or the growth, it's actually struggling. It's negative. But when you look at the growth in data centers, we're estimating that close to 8% for 2026. So that's the level of momentum the data center segment is providing us. All right. So the next one is the European retrofit opportunities, where we are seeing the revised EPBD, which was revised in 2024. And if you look closely into the revised EPBD regulations, there are some deadlines given with closer to May or June this year, mandating some requirements, which will provide, we are seeing that will actually open up some short-term opportunities or even long-term opportunities for some of the systems like the building automation and control systems, lighting controls, indoor environmental control. I'll just give you an example, because if you look at there is a deadline on May 2026 in the revised EPBD, which actually requires the member states, the buildings, to actually have building automation and control systems with continuous electronic monitoring and effective control functionalities in the new and existing residential buildings. So that's the deadline they have. So there is opportunity for that as well for this year. And likewise for the lighting controls in non-residential buildings, the deadline is like December 2027, which means that for any non-residential building with a HVAC of rated output greater than 290 kilowatts must have an automatic lighting controls. However, the deadline is December 2027, but you will see the projects coming up in those areas. And likewise, we are also seeing other energy service related opportunities, like the renovation passports and the energy performance certificates. The new framework is being developed where they're extending the performance certificate scale from A to G, to showcase the final and the primary energy use. And likewise, we're also seeing smart readiness indicator testing is happening in 13 member states, and the commission is actually due to provide the evaluation report due by 31st of June by 2026. So these are the opportunities that we see with respect to the revised EPBD mandates, right? And again, coming to the next prediction is on the EU regulatory mandates. We have identified close to 5 mandates which have been, which are actually coming into effect or already being come into effect recently, which where 2026 brings interlocking rules that will reshape competitiveness. For example, the ESPR, the Eco Design for Sustainable Products, regulation with carbon footprints for storage, and then Cyber Resilience Act. This is an interesting act. The Cyber Resilience Act is actually mandating any product, or the CRA applies to products with digital elements. So if it has any digital element like the IoT or any kind of digital element that requires cybersecurity in design, development, and post-market handling to enhance market trust and competitiveness. So this directly affects some of the products with respect to lighting controls, because it has these sensors, and then anything that is wireless or that is connected to internet, which has the capability to connect to internet. So anything that is IoT connected will need to comply to this mandatory regulation. And then the EU batteries regulation, that's an interesting one, which is also impacting the areas like energy storage systems, emergency lighting, because emergency lighting has this self-contained and centrally supplied batteries. So you need to provide the labels with manufacturer details, and then the chemistry, weight, capacity, chemical composition, all these things. So again, these are opportunities, and this actually increases the competitiveness of the players. The vendors need to comply to this, right? And then we have the construction products regulation, CPR. So the first working plan starting from 2026 develops harmonized technical specifications for construction products. That is again starting from January 2026, right? And the 7th prediction is on the data-driven facility operations, which is again an exciting one, because there is not so much focus on the software side of FM, because we only see it from the hard services or the soft services in terms of FM, but there is also a unique opportunity in terms of the data-driven, like the to put it in short, we call it as the FM software. So all these FM software would have this asset management, space management, all these CMMS, all these systems would come under this FM software, and we are estimating that close to 5 billion in 2026, growing at a rate of 11%. So we are also seeing if the early adopters, of these FM software or data-driven tools could see 2 to 3 times of contract expansion with 20 to 30% efficiency gains, especially in data centers, healthcare, and other high-growth verticals. So what you're saying is the operational excellence. So if you have this operational infrastructure developed, within your company, which could be used to pull in contracts for your projects, that's what we are saying. So operational excellence directly translates to competitive advantage and sustained profitability. All right. So next is the AI-powered construction ecosystem. In 2026, AI-powered collaboration platforms, will firmly establish themselves as the indispensable operational backbone of the construction industry, which unifies, fragmented data ecosystem, because we see this as a siloed system, and which is going to enable proactive decision making across the project life cycle. So these platforms will integrate BIM, IoT, scheduling, and financial data into a single intelligent layer, which could reduce the rework by 15 to 25%, and accelerate delivery through automated insights, and agentic workflows as well. And we are estimating because this could be easily put under the construction management software, which has the field services, workflow management system, workflow, workforce safety. So all these. So if you look at the market numbers, we are estimating that close to $10.7 billion by 2026, growing at a rate of 24.5%. So that's exactly what that's why you saw all these dark green, color coding in all the regions, because it's a high growth market related to the software side of it. Yeah. And then a couple of predictions on lighting. Although we see, despite the lighting sector is going through tough times. I think the last few years, the leaders are actually struggling to improve their revenues. But we are seeing some high, upside on a couple of segments. One is the connected lighting segment, where the global smart lighting is estimated to hit close to $23 billion at 10.5% growth in 2026, which is led by the IoT and AI functionalities. And there are other, if you look at the leaders like Signify Connect, they have published the connected light points, installed base of light points to 167 million by 2025. So that's a 16% CAGR growth from 2020. So you can see how the connected lighting market is actually growing. And even the professional segment grows via large-scale retrofits and smart city initiatives, because there are some smart street lighting installations are happening in certain, especially in Southeast Asian countries. We are seeing smart city projects where some of the street lights are being, renovated. So that's an opportunity there, and the cost optimization. So despite declining, lighting revenues amid, tariff pressures, and the commoditized LED, that is emphasized on the, connected innovations, positioning for a rebound. So that's the thing. And the consumer segment, especially the consumer segment, is actually witnessing higher growth. For example, we are estimating the residential smart lighting segment projected to reach close to 3.86 billion, growing at a rate of 12.3% in 2026. So these are opportunity pockets that we are giving you. And then last but not the least is the high growth specialty lighting, which includes the horticulture, aquaculture lighting, emergency lighting segments. So these are all some of the moderate and high growth areas which we are seeing could offset the LED pressures due to the commoditization of the LED. And we are estimating the horticulture and aquaculture close to 3 billion. It's a 3 billion market opportunity at 12.6% growth. Mainly due to the controlled environmental agriculture, demand for controlled environmental agriculture, vertical farming, and we are seeing visible innovations happening from the leaders through plant responsive systems, and that are actually providing higher yields, higher energy cuts, closer to 60 to 80%. They're claiming 60 to 80% energy cuts through these specialty lighting, and higher premium margins through AI and software services. So that's another innovation that we are seeing. Even AI is actually penetrating into aquaculture lighting, horticulture lighting, in terms of how how the plants are actually responding to the controlled environment, right? So these 10 predictions show 2026 as a breakout year, and AI is at the edge, probably at the core of it. And we are seeing regulatory tailwinds in Europe. Data center momentum is happening across the world, and smart operations unlocking climate smart pathways. Right. Next slide, please. Right. So the final slide is on the growth opportunity matrix. So what we've done here is we've all put together all the 10 predictions and converted that into opportunities. So obviously the predictions are not just standalone predictions, right? So it provides opportunities. So there are also opportunities to us. So we have actually put that in a practical framework to actually help prioritize where to invest your time, resources, and focus in 2026 for to maximize the impact. So if you look at this, it has two dimensions again, which is the vertical one. You can see the timeline of expected benefits for customers, and the horizontal is the cost of adoption for customers. So you have to look at this from a customer's point of view. If you are providing all these the solutions, attached to those top predictions. If you're a vendor, so we are giving you how the customers would actually perceive it, right, in terms of expected benefits and cost of adoption. So the expected benefits, we are having it in two rows. One is the immediate benefit. Immediate benefits less than 12 months, and near term is 12 to 36 months stop. Right. Cost of adoption, again, low to medium, medium to high. So we have four quadrants, and in the bottom left we have named it as urgent action because of its immediate benefits and lower cost. So these are the no-brainer priorities. These deliver rapid efficiencies with the minimal barriers. They're ready now, driving foundational intelligence across urban environments and accelerating the shift to low carbon building. So we have three opportunities under this quadrant. One is the data-driven facility operations, smart and connected lighting, and cloud-based smart building management. Obviously, they are low. They're in terms of cost of adoption, it is low to medium, and benefits definitely less than 12 months. You can see there are a lot of case studies that the vendors have actually put in terms of proof of concept or real-time case studies, how it is actually beneficial for the customer. So we're having three big opportunities, which we call it as urgent action for vendors, for its immediate benefits and lower cost. Right. So then we have this bottom right, we have the quick wins quadrant because of the immediate benefits and moderate to higher cost, because this is a high reward place with a faster payback despite slightly elevated investment. All right. So we have four opportunities here. Data centers continue to fuel growth again because data centers, as you see, it's creating a huge momentum. Although the construction of data center could actually take some time, but once it is up and running, you can see the opportunities. Immediate. You'll have immediate opportunities, right? And then all related to AI, agentic AI-driven HVAC, AI-driven HEMS, and AI-powered construction ecosystem. Whenever there is an AI attached to it, there is going to be a cost involved with it because there is a lot of R&D behind those AI innovations. So that's why we are putting it in the medium high in terms of cost of adoption. But there is immediate benefits. You can see the immediate productivity benefits or cost optimization that is quite immediate. That's actually immediate, right? So these harness explosive tailwinds in terms of AI automation, data center boom, energy volatility, and offer the strongest near-term momentum and scalability in 2026. The top left, we have the strategic bets with the near-term benefits. They'll take some time, some amount of time, probably more than 1 year, to realize the benefits for the customers, but at lower cost, right? So these are strategic bets, which is policy backed, calculated and policy backed investments unfolding over like 1 to 3 years. And we just have one opportunity here, which is the European regulatory mandate-driven opportunities. These are affordable and scale because if you look at those opportunities that we discussed earlier, we talked about the core building systems, mostly hardware. So anything that is hardware related will take time for the benefits to actually realize. But these are project related. Benefits, right? And then the last one is the top right, future focus. So near-term benefits, again, higher cost. So these offer differentiated upside in regulated markets and high-value niches. That's why we have the high-growth specialty lighting and European retrofit opportunities. Again, these are expected to deliver outside returns as policies and technologies mature. So the overall messages for this slide is you can have a balanced portfolio, tackle the urgent action and quick wins for immediate momentum and credibility, and place your strategic bets to build midterm strength, and keep an eye on the future focus areas for long-term differentiation. So this matrix is more like a roadmap, to turn the predictions, what we discussed, into prioritized actionable pathways towards intelligent buildings. Yeah. So with this, I stop my presentation here. We are almost the end of the webinar, and I'll stop my presentation here for Q&A. Yeah.
All right, Anirudh, thank you so much for the detailed briefing. I think it is very informative. Very well done there. Really love it. And I hope the audience you might have questions. Please feel free to, let us know live, or you can type your questions in with the Q&A function that is available at your screen. Now, of course, having that said, I personally have a little bit of questions,
Sure.
to Anirudh. And well, Anirudh, looking at the big picture here, you talk about the transformational growth journey across the homes and buildings ecosystem. I think very good information about the technologies, the trends, and the opportunities. And in reality, what usually makes it hard for different players to agree on a shared direction? Because you have so many trends and predictions there, and there's so many stakeholders. So how are leaders addressing those challenges, having to have a shared direction and to foster a collaboration?
Yeah.
And what
Yeah.
positive directions is the industry taking to achieve a safe, intelligent, and sustainable built environment?
Yeah, that's a great question, Melvin. So I think there are common barriers as well, but there are different pathways how the stakeholders are addressing them. But ultimately, the end road is the same. You need to provide this safe, intelligent, and sustainable building. So that's the end point. But different pathways, people are addressing it through different innovations. The common barriers include the misaligned incentives, including builders. They prioritize short-term cost, utilities focus on grid stability, and policymakers on long-term emissions. So these are misaligned, incentives, and there is also fragmented data ownership and differing risk appetites across the value chain. So I think the leaders are addressing through multi, stakeholder coalition, like public-private smart city consortiums and shared digital platforms for transparent data exchange and outcome-based contracts that for verified savings. So I think the industry is moving towards is positively towards adaptive, electrified, and AI optimized building systems.
Mhm.
And we are seeing some strong momentums with respect to digital twins, for retrofits and grid interactive systems, circular material use, so which are collectively building, as you said, safe, intelligent, and sustainable built environment.
Okay. Okay. So do you think, having that said, do you think there must be some sort of a partnerships or, some sort of like innovative business models happening there? Because
Yeah,
I don't think anyone should be working alone, in that sense.
absolutely. That's what I said, in my presentation. I think there's going to be a business model shift. You know, when the software services came, we saw the business model shift happening from hardware driven, the upfront business model, towards software as a service. We had multiple innovations there in terms of it could be performance based. We saw performance based services, outcome based services, and
Mhm.
then guaranteed savings kind of services. But once we have this AI, the layer of AI is going to shift, take the business model innovation to the next level. Like I said, people would be using that as an infrastructure. Sam Altman recently said, AI should be used as an infrastructure, not as a tool. So you enable AI when you need it and pay for it. You disable it when you don't need it. So that's how
Mm.
it's going to be when it comes to how we are going to use AI, because AI is definitely going to be, it's a sophisticated system, so there will be costs associated to it. It won't be cheap. There will be premium costs associated to it, so it must be used like an infrastructure.
Right, right. S-
Yeah,
So I think at the end of the day, it's more of a outcome-based model for the customers.
absolutely. More like, that's what I said, it's a consumption
Mm.
based model, because
Yeah.
when it comes to the built environment, historically vendors have been offering the software based services in more like a non consumption based model, right?
Mm.
Like I said, based on performance-based models.
Right,
Like
right,
once a customer reaches an energy or agreed energy savings, they get payment from the customer. So that's a
right.
non-consumption-based model. We didn't have this consumption-based models because there wasn't a way to measure the how the customers are using those services. But when AI is introduced, now you can easily measure how they are using AI. It could be
Yes.
through number of prompts, how much you can easily charge them based on the number of prompts or the time spent on the AI, or maybe based on the data being used, however, whatever. But that's the point here. That's why I'm
Yes.
saying there is a shift from non-consumption to consumption-based model through AI.
Yes. So based on your numbers that you presented just now, I remember there's a slide that you showed some growth matrix, and those are very interesting actually.
Yeah.
So when companies or when stakeholders look at all these growth metrics across segments or regions that you have shown, right? Like how can they better leverage the data to inform targeted investments and prioritization for sustainable outcomes?
Yeah, that's why I presented it in a more of like a color coded way, so
Hmm,
they can prioritize on the high growth segments, which we shown it in the light green and dark green. So that
I
is the high
see.
priority high growth segments like the smart building management, construction management, and smart homes. So these are the high growth segments where you can see this climate impact and ROI align the strongest. And probably they can also, with when you look at the matrix, they can balance the quick wins in mature markets and scale these and put the strategic bets in high growth regions like the Asia Pacific. And also they need to track the regulatory anything regulatory tailwinds in certain regions. They need to track it because we were able to identify some of the EU based regulations which actually provides this nuanced opportunities for just for the year 2026. That's why I say 2026 is a pivotal year for homes and buildings industry because of the regulatory tailwinds that are happening. And likewise, you will have all these regulatory tailwinds in different countries as well. So the leaders need to track those regulations to actually align their priorities to capitalize on the opportunities.
Mhm. Okay. So it's
Yeah.
very interesting that you have mentioned about 2026. Now, like, given that the current
Right.
geopolitical situation that we are seeing in the Middle East right now, and potentially we don't know what potentially will happen, in the next in the coming next few weeks.
Yeah.
Will this actually affect will this have any impact on all these investments or targets in the homes and buildings industry? Well, I
Yeah.
think it's a little remote for homes and buildings. It's not
Yes.
a
Yes.
direct impact for the
True.
industry.
True.
But with oil prices going up, do you think there will be a delay on all these investments in AI or digital twins in the buildings industry?
Right. So see, that's a great question, and it's very difficult to actually tell anything about if it happened. Honestly, when I
Mm.
estimated this, because all these estimates come from our Global Industry Outlook 2026, which will be published before March. All right. So when I analyzed it, I did not account into the geopolitical tensions. All right. So I'm still keeping it optimistic because I see this as a short term hindrance. All right, although it will
Correct.
have some short term impact for this year because I don't see the war to continue happen because so I think there will be a short term impact just for 2026. There could be a slight dip in terms of growth rate, but I don't see a major
Mhm.
blow with respect to that because we put the Middle East into the rest of the world. So I'm still keeping the rest of the world in an optimistic growth. So we'll see. I think it is
Okay.
very difficult to tell now, but there will be some kind of short term impact because all these are related or tied to the real estate investments, the sentiments, all these things. So right now there are some negative sentiments towards the Middle East area. So there will be some impact, a negative impact in terms of real estate investments or in terms of projects that are
Mhm.
happening.
Mhm.
So yeah, so that's about it.
Yeah. So this no without now so now without regards to what's happening in the Middle East right now. All right. So you have shared several strong predictions just now.
Right.
Of
Yeah.
and maybe well, I understand what you say, that certain things will go on as BAU as possible. Maybe
Yeah.
there'll be a little
Yeah.
slowdown or a little delay. But having
Correct.
that said, eventually, when things pick up, right, all
Mm.
these predictions that you have mentioned just now will hold. right? And they'll be
Yeah.
important. So
Absolutely.
maybe can you repeat which two or three of the predictions that you mentioned just now will be showing they're already showing clearer signs of momentum, and what
Correct.
should the
Correct.
audience watch in the coming year or years, to know that they are those things are real, or even for them to prepare. You think?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think all the top 10 predictions, that's why we call it as top 10. So I have also put it in a nice matrix to show where to focus, immediate quick wins and urgent action and future focus. But if you ask me to choose two or three, I would say the first one would be the agentic AI driven HVAC intelligence, because we are already seeing more innovations and even products coming up with respect to agentic AI driven HVAC intelligence, where OEMs are already shipping those solutions and deployments are happening, and some partnerships, and also acquisitions have already happened. And that is one. The next one would be the data center related, prediction, which actually fuels the core building technology demand. Because I think we were able to estimate how much this would actually impact the building technology industry. I'm estimating that close to $35 billion. There's a $35 billion opportunity for the building technology industry within the data center segment, and we are seeing momentum there. And in terms of global, and then we have this cloud-based smart building management, because I think we have been talking about this for a long time with respect to the untapped potential for the BEMS and the BMS in the smart and medium-sized buildings, which is the less than 100,000 square feet, right? So although vendors have their targeted solutions for SMBs, there hasn't been a greater penetration into that, because I think 2026 is again a pivotal year because of the regulatory mandates, as I mentioned earlier. So the regulatory mandates, the retrofit related opportunities that are there. I think so the small and medium sized buildings, that will provide a positive impact.
Totally agree with you about the agentic AI and the data center part. That's where the priorities should be, I believe. And from our research, our daily research in homes and buildings studies, we have found that all these still remain as top priorities among industry
True.
participants in our research. And
True.
whether or not they are successful yet, that's besides the point. But that's where the direction is going to be. And
True.
I think that's preparations must be there, for stakeholders in the
Correct.
industry.
Correct.
Now, I won't take up too much time for more questions, but I would just want to wrap up a little bit. For those who are still here, the audience, you can ask us any questions if you have, or you can ask us later, and that's fine. If you wish to have access to the presentation that Anirudh has presented, there will be a copy that will. I mean, this webinar is recorded, and the presentation will be available in that link, so you can see the presentation again and link back to what Anirudh has said about the priorities, the predictions, the top 10 opportunities, and all that, and the prioritization. If it all makes sense to you, to what Anirudh has mentioned just now, as he answers my question. So to close the loop, Anirudh, so if someone in the audience here had to decide what to focus on, what to focus first, after this session. So what would be the one or two actions that you would recommend for them to take immediately?
Yeah, I think the first one I would ask them to partner with us, to partner with Frost Sullivan, so that we can definitely handhold you to guide your investment priorities, in terms of benchmarking or any opportunities evaluation and other things. But again, on the in terms of what to focus first, I would say, based on this presentation, I would ask them to audit their current portfolio, against the growth opportunities matrix, identify the at least one that actually falls on the urgent action or quick wins, that actually matches your organization's capabilities or your priorities, to actually get the proof of value within the next 6 to 9 months. So that would be my 2
Yeah.
cents.
Yeah. So, or I would say, if companies are going for an M&A in the near
Yeah,
future, they should refer to your matrix.
absolutely. Yes,
So
that's the starting
yeah,
point. Yeah, that's the starting point. And also,
yeah,
you could just we can definitely expand on that, if they happen to partner with us. Yeah,
right, right. So again, partnership is very important, and the first step is to
absolutely.
be with Frost and Sullivan,
Right.
right? So, okay,
True,
thank you.
true.
Right, that's very candid there, and yeah. So I think that wraps up for today's session, everyone. You have, as I said, if you have questions, just feel free to ask later on. The platforms are all available for you to reach out. Thank you to our presenter and to everyone who has joined us. So the main key takeaway is clear. The homes and buildings industry is continuously becoming more interconnected, more data-led, more ecosystem driven, and those who can align strategy, technology, and partnerships will be best positioned to capture the opportunities
True.
ahead. So, thank you so much again for your time, everyone, and contact us for any questions. And we hope to see you again in our next webinar. All right, thank you and goodbye.
All right. Thank you. Bye bye.